Hi, I'm Kelly Vaughn, and welcome to Inside Indy. Well, things have been warming up, and you know what that means. Tennis season is fast approaching. And the question is, will it happen like it normally happens, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic? And so to answer that question and many more tennis-related questions, we have Indianapolis tennis legend Barbara Wynne is with us tonight here on Inside Indy. Hello, Barbara.
Hi, Kelly. So glad to be on your program.
Good to have you. What an honor. This is so cool. I love it. I love it.
I feel honored.
Now, I was putting that question out there in terms of, in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of things have changed in sports, not just in tennis, but basketball. And what are we going to do for football? So what is the state of tennis in light of COVID-19, whether it's here in Indianapolis or in the sport across the globe?
Well, you're right. Things have changed and will change. And for instance, in our program, you're supposed to come with a mask in one pocket and maybe a little hand sanitizer in the other. And our program actually starts July 1st and will last till the 29th when kids go back to school. I'm so excited that you're having this right before we start because there's still a few spots for people to sign up. And this is our 57th year of our community tennis program at North Central. And I'm so proud that this is my 57th year on court teaching.
Wow.
But actually, something really exciting is that on the 30th, which is the night before, we're having a Zoom with Billie Jean King. And Billie Jean King has been a key part of our program since 1970. She's always been there for Barbara Wynne to support tennis and do clinics. And I just happen to have this picture that goes back to 1970. And she called me a rocket because my hair was so crazy. I don't know if you can see that.
A little bit higher. Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's pretty cool.
Well, it is cool because all the kids in the program, of course, that are in this picture would now be 50 years older. And this young man over here on the very end was Todd Witzkin. And she had such an impact on all of these boys and girls that in this particular picture, all of them went on to play high school tennis and get either a local or national ranking. And Todd, who she really thought was good when she hit with him, went on to beat Jimmy Connors at the US Open.
Wow.
So exceptional young man. And now he's in tennis heaven. But anyway, he was a wonderful person to have in the program, and the whole family, all of the children played, and I enjoyed them thoroughly.
Wow.
So anyway, on the 30th, to register, you just go to our tennis program, tennisprogram.com, and you'll see a picture of Billie Jean King. And I'll bet you're going to put up some information about signing up. But if you go to tennisprogram.com, the first thing you see is a picture of Billie Jean King, and you can register for free. Or you can choose to make a donation. But the truth of it is, we'd rather have you listen to all the goodness that she has to say, because besides being an incredible tennis legend, well, I don't know too many people that have won 31 Grand Slam titles, but she won 31 Grand Slam titles. And probably what you're going to love is that she played, you see this one?
Yes.
Bobby Riggs. And I think it was 1973. Well, anyway, believe it or not, he was the big challenge, and they called him the male chauvinist pig.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He claimed, of course, that he could beat any woman. And he did, in fact, beat Margaret Court, who was number one in the world. On Mother's Day, it was known as the Mother's Day Massacre. So anyway, Billie Jean, who didn't want to do it, she was so embarrassed that Bobby Riggs would beat a woman that she said, all right, I will play you, and I'll play you 3 out of 5 sets. So anyway, she took him on. She whooped him. She beat him. And you know how many people watched it? 90 million people worldwide.
Wow.
In the Houston Astrodome, and watched her beat him in 3 straight sets. So she also, among other things, she probably has a record for a number of people watching a tennis match, 90 million. And her other things that I'm proudest of knowing her about is that she made work to make Title IX a reality. So people like you and me, Kelly, could play sports that weren't available. The NCAA and the IHSAA, all who we loved dearly at that time, had no programs at all for women. So it's pretty darn exciting that through Title IX, we're very equal in all sports offered, both in the IHSAA and the NCAA. And so she really has stood for equality, and she didn't like the fact that the men were getting paid more at the Grand Slams, and she worked towards that, and now it's equal pay. So and she started the Women's Sports Foundation, and then how I met her was at the very first Virginia Slims that was in Indianapolis in 1970,
Wow.
same time as this clinic. And I think the reason she did the clinic was I stayed up with a dear friend of mine, Babs Givens, and we laid the carpet court at the Coliseum for the Virginia Slims of Indianapolis in 1970. We were all up all night taking this carpet, putting tape underneath it, making sure that nobody would slip, nobody would trip, nobody would fall. And so she said, well, I'll come out to North Central, or I'll come out to your tennis place, I think she said, for 20 minutes. And so she arrived in North Central and she saw it was a public facility. She threw up her hands and she said, you didn't tell me it was public. And she stayed 4 hours, hitting with every solitary kid who came to the clinic.
Oh, wow.
More than generous with her time. And that's always the relationship I've had with Billie Jean, is she's extremely generous with her time. And now she wants to get everybody enthusiastic to get back to playing, to set higher goals than ever. And that's one of the things she's known for, saying pressure is a privilege. And she honestly believes that. And she wants everybody to feel whatever goals they set for themselves, if they have enough fire in the belly, they can get there. And the interesting thing, you're laughing.
No, I love you have so much energy. I just love the way you kind of put it out there.
At 86, I'm still energetic, and I'm going to teach my little class every day this summer, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it because I love kids. I think the bottom line is I love kids.
Oh, bless your heart.
I do, though. I just love them. But anyway, Billie Jean King says the most interesting thing, that of all the prizes and of all the trophies and everything that she's won, accolades, that still what she prizes most is relationships. And of course, she's lucky. She's had wonderful friendships with Chris Evert, with Martina Navratilova, with many presidents of our country, including Barack Obama, who gave her the Freedom Medal. And anyway, I think that's really interesting that maybe I'm one of those people she has a prized relationship with. I'm grateful for it. Very grateful for
Well, it certainly sounds like it to me. Yeah. And especially from the looks of the picture that's behind you. Tell us about the photo that's behind you.
Well, she came to Indianapolis last year. This is just 1 year old. And Anthem gave her an honor of being creative and promoting women's sports. And so that particular day, she gave a clinic to the National Junior Tennis League. And it was in downtown by Anthem in one of their, in the Pan Am building, actually. Mm-hmm. And the NJTL kids actually got to learn volley, which I always thought Billie Jean King's game was most unique because she was what I call a chip and charge player. That he had no fear of coming to the net and ending the point. I never was, but I always thought it was wonderful she was. And so she really worked on volleys with those kids that day. And by the way, the Indianapolis chapter of the National Junior Tennis League also starts on July the 1st. So if you can't come out to North Central and play with us because it's not near where you live, please know that the National Junior Tennis League is going to be on a lot of public parks, and they'll welcome you to play with them. So that's right in the phone book, National Junior Tennis League. It starts on July 1st, just like our wonderful program at North Central.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So now let's go over the details of because it's interesting you call it a fireside chat and it's the middle of July. So why that name, and then go over the details of that chat to come.
I don't know why it was called a fireside chat either, for me, it's going to be more than an opportunity for things that really are exciting and are up. And one of our best tennis players ever, Vice Admiral Sean Buck, will also be on the program talking, and it'll be a question and answer program where people can say, what can I do to be better? How can I get your attitude? And the questions will be, of course, sent in when they register. And registering is important. And I can assure you that we will be using a lot of the questions that people send in. And well, for instance, one of my questions would be, since I know a lot about her, is she claims she had an epiphany when she was 13 years old. Epiphany means you just have a whole change of heart, right? Everything's starting over. And she decided then that she didn't just want to be good and go out and play. She decided she wanted to be the best in the world. And she
Wow.
changed her whole goal setting, the way she practiced, just her day-to-day program and her love for tennis. And because you don't find her winning too many junior tournaments, because she's got her fire in the belly. And when she started to shine was really more towards 17 and 18. But everybody knew who she was as a junior. And way back then, we didn't have so many age groups, with 18 and under. So I would say when she hit the 18 and unders, she became known by everybody and a champion, but not as a 12-year-old, 14-year-old, but definitely as an 18-year-old after that epiphany hit, and she's changed her goals.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, just her story and her successes. And, you were talking earlier about the big tennis match between she and who was it again?
Bobby Riggs.
Bobby Riggs. And I remember, I was pretty young, but I remember them calling it, was it the Battle of the Sexes? That's what it popped in my head when you said that.
Absolutely, it was the Battle of the Sexes.
Yeah.
And it was promoted like crazy. And he used to say, women belong in the kitchen. And things that would really irritate her. And then I think he also said, or the bedroom. And it really brought on the female telling us where we were supposed to be instead of in the corporate headquarters and things where we are now on TV like you are.
Yes, yes.
She just wanted women to have the same rights always that men had. And of course, she wanted them to be equal in ability too. She wanted them to have high standards.
Right. And because you're right, a lot of times girls will play down their abilities, a lot of times even to accommodate a man. I won't be so great because I don't want to make him feel bad. Or there are a lot of, I don't know where that comes from, but you're raised that way to back down, to, instead of being the best that you can be, whether you can beat a guy or not, just be your best.
What I love about tennis, it teaches a lot of life lessons. It teaches you courage. It teaches you how to handle winning and losing. And in life, we have to handle our successes. We have to accept our failures. And so in winning and losing, you learn that. And Sean Buck, who's going to be on the Zoom too with Billie Jean, is the Vice Admiral, and he's the superintendent of the U.S. Naval Academy. He grew up in our tennis program, and he claims that his courage and leadership came from competitive tennis, having to prepare, having to plan, and having to stick it out and train for what you're going to do. So I think it'll be a fun thing for all the boys and girls, parents, anybody who's interested in tennis or just being better in life. That's all you have to care about. Get a little fire in your own belly so you can do your best.
All right.
And then the Zoom, and I guarantee you she'll give you that power and ability to be the best you can be.
Okay, I love it. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about Billie Jean King and you and your career here in Indianapolis and the Junior Tennis League in general when we come back.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
And And we're back here on Inside Indy, and we're talking to Indianapolis tennis legend Barbara Wynne. And she's talking about how you can be a winner as well if you listen in on the Fireside Chat with Billie Jean King, who won the battle of the sexes. And again, what year was that again, Barbara?
I think it was 1973, but I could be wrong.
73. Okay. Yeah, I was still in grade school, I think, at that time. But I do remember that. And it's interesting you talked about Title 19. So what do you remember about Title 19? What it is and what it meant at that time?
Well, it's Title IX.
Title 9. Okay. I've got COVID-19 going in my head.
It was actually one of our state senators, Birch Bayh, was working with that also. It was a combined effort to make into legislation the fact that whatever is offered in collegiate sports, the equal has to be offered to women. So, of course, I will honestly say in my heart that I do realize more young men are probably competitive than women, but nevertheless, to get to the point where they had the opportunity, and I wish it was totally equal. I just think it's wonderful. I know that my daughter played college tennis, and it meant the world to me. In fact, I think about most of my grandkids have had the opportunity, all of them, to play high school tennis. And it wouldn't have been before Billie Jean King came out at North Central. I can remember when, and then I can remember clearly we had no women's team. But I did want to say that I found this picture of, I don't know if you can see it. This is Vice Admiral Sean Buck, and what's really interesting about him is that he was a very outstanding player in our program and number one on the team at North Central.
Wow.
But he went on to play also at the Naval Academy, and today he's getting ready for all the plebes to arrive at the Naval Academy. But he goes over and practices a little with the tennis team still. So he keeps his relationships with tennis and the young midshipmen very close to heart. And I'm so proud of him because he is definitely fostering the love of tennis and leadership and courage. And if he claims he got in our program, I am so proud.
Oh, right.
I'm so proud. And it's back to Billie Jean King and the things she accomplished. One of my fondest memories. I know this sounds like bragging, but I have a really good friend who's in the House of Lords in England and played Wimbledon. Much better player than I am, but we're very good friends. And she said, "Do you think you could get Billie Jean to talk to Parliament about women's sports because we're a little behind here in England, getting enough people on the tennis courts?" I said, "I bet I can." So believe it or not, when we were both in town, I suppose maybe it was for Wimbledon, she came and spoke to the House of Lords and to the Parliament, those in Parliament who wanted to come, and told them about the successes she had had building women's sports in the United States. So that was pretty fun to feel like not only has she helped here, but she helped in another country and helped spur them on.
Wow. And thanks to you making it happen.
I felt very fortunate to have the connections,
Not everybody can just call her and make that happen. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool. So, and I have to share this story. I played basketball in high school and volleyball. And I remember a time when they said girls could not play. And in fact, the first year we played in the IHSAA, that was the first year they let girls play. Judy Warren was Miss Basketball.
Oh, yeah.
We actually got to play in the sectionals, and I can remember going up to 42nd and Boulevard and standing on the side of the court to wait to get to play with the guys, and they'd sit there and make fun of us. My friend Teal Williams, which was Teal Rivers at that time, but we stand there with our arms crossed like we want to play, and they didn't want us out there, but eventually they'd let us in, and then you get on the court and you play with the boys, and that's how you got better because we didn't know anything about the game, but we were learning from those who did. But so I wasn't even aware that Billie Jean King was behind that whole movement.
Oh my gosh, yes. And one of the neat things for people watching is that I do teach down at the Children's Museum. I'm the tennis legend there, and they have 4 courts for kids 10 and under and 1 for kids over, and they have a wonderful backboard to hit. And the Children's Museum is doing a wonderful job of introducing tennis to people. They have their staff that teaches. I just go down hopefully 2 hours twice a week
Oh,
and
nice.
give my help. And I enjoy this year. You were asking about being safe. We're going to be so safe. You're going to have to come in a certain gate where we have green stars so kids will know this is the way in. We'll have another place with red. Well, this will be the way out. And we'll have everybody's supposed to have sanitizer in their pocket, and of course, a mask when they're up close because we want everybody to social distance. But we will be careful, like on my courts. I will take a bucket of balls, a couple of buckets of balls. I'm going to have probably 4 of them. And every night I'll take the ones home that I'm finished with, throw them in the dryer, make sure that they're good, and probably use the other ball. So I'll alternate balls so that at least when the kids do pick up, practice throwing the balls to targets and things like that. Because I teach kids 10 and under, and I teach them to play red ball or orange ball. Those are the first levels of USTA net generation tennis. And my goal is to have 100% of my kids playing sets in a month. So there I have my hands full. But my group will come every day from 9 to 11, and I will get that accomplished. I know. I plan on it. But we will do social distancing, and children will not. We've always loved having them stay all day playing chess, playing ping pong. But this summer, until we can know it's truly safe, they'll have to come and play tennis, and they'll have to go back home. I will miss that. So all their socializing will be on the court because we don't want any of them to get ill. So I hope we have it all worked out. In fact, as I close my eyes, the kids are over at North Central figuring out exactly how people are going to come in and out. And we're going to be doing on our website, which is tennisprogram.com. Before they come, they'll tune in and see exactly what gate they're going to come in and know ahead of time that they're expected to keep their hands. And if they're going to be in a waiting period, they have to have their mask on. But, for the most part, when you play tennis, you do not wear a mask. And the teachers, when they're teaching, won't wear a mask. When they're just hanging out, they will.
Right. Yeah. And that's interesting. You do have that advantage with the sport that you're, on one end of the court and the other, whereas opposed to, say, basketball or football, there's a lot of contact there.
Well, we found that out from the college football programs that are happening right now. Like COVID is unfortunately involved in invading their sport. And I am so sorry because I want to see life get back to normal.
Yeah.
But the COVID is something we can't see, but we know is very real. And the first day that we have no new cases and no deaths, I can't imagine how everybody will celebrate. That day has not come. That hasn't come in Indianapolis yet.
Yeah, right. So we probably have just about 3 minutes left, I'm guessing, but just want to know a little bit about your career in Indianapolis because you've been teaching and playing for a long time.
Yes, I have. I was, I grew up and I played and I taught and I actually strung rackets at the Woodstock Club. And I had the joy of being the junior champion in 15 and unders and 18 and unders because they didn't have all these age groups. And I was the women's champion. I would say that was about the best I did. I was the mixed doubles champion of the city of Indianapolis when I was 16. That was totally due to my partner who was a Devo, and all Devos are good. And I think he told me to stand no more than 6 feet in from the alley and he'd take the court over. So winning a championship, I might have had my name on the trophy, but I would have to say that he was the strong player. So I was always on my favorite thing about tennis. I was on the Whiteman Cup team and I played that. And I used to go up till 21. So I think I played it till I was about 20. Now it just goes to 18. I loved team tennis so much because you were there to cheer for each other, to care for each other, and sing songs all the way to a competition and back. So it was the camaraderie of my partners and my teammates that I really, really loved. And actually, of course, there was no high school tennis. And at Northwestern, where I graduated with a degree in education, of course, there was no women's tennis either. But the coach there was Marty Reeson's dad, and Marty was about 9 years younger than I am. So I spent a lot of my college days playing with him. And of course, he went on to win all kinds of Grand Slams, and we remained friends. And that was a lot of fun to have at least someone that the head of the men's team could fix me up to play with.
Okay.
But there was no tennis at Northwestern when I went there.
Oh,
For women,
wow.
only for men.
There you go. But times have changed, obviously, and
Yeah,
I'm
they
glad of that. Well, let's
And
go
it's
over
so
the
much
details
fun.
again for the, huh?
I said it's so much fun because I have sent our program has sent so many kids to Northwestern, and Courtney Lord, who's one of my favorite kids I ever taught, played varsity at Northwestern for 4 years, and that made me so happy.
Wow.
Good.
Incredible. Life changing. Life changing. That's what it's about. The fireside chat. Let's go over the details for that again. For people who want up close and personal with Billie Jean King.
You can register for free or make a donation by going to tennisprogram.com. The first thing you'll see is a picture of Billie Jean King. You absolutely highlight that, and the registration button will come up, and you hit the registration button, and there you are. You can register for what we call a ticket, and they will then, since it's going to be like tomorrow, the next day, it's going to be on Tuesday the 30th at 5 p.m. Tuesday, June 30th at 5 p.m. And so you want to make sure you register right after watching this wonderful program so that you can get your link to the Zoom. And after you register, they will send you back a number that will put you into the Zoom at 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 30th. And I know you'll love it. And I get to introduce her. That's pretty fun.
That's pretty awesome.
That's very awesome.
Well, Barbara, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us this evening. And this is going to be so cool. We'll have the information on the screen for people just to, they guess they've got their pens. Like I'm old school. I got a pen that want to jot things down, or they can go straight from their iPhones and get registered right now. So we appreciate you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. It was my joy. Thank you so much.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.